Today we would like to go through mechanostimulation, Galileo training, on your screen, or a few of the many products Galileo makes, from fitness to medical. Galileo has been around for quite some time. They started off with the PQCT, a bone tomography device developed while doing research on bone. It shows three-dimensional pictures of bone and muscle. Secondly, they developed the Leonardo mechanography, which can measure muscle function, muscle analysis, and power from the force plate. They then realized they needed some sort of device to train muscle, and they came up with the concept of Galileo training. Galileo training is the most efficient method to stimulate the neuromuscular system naturally. Its side-alternating movement pattern targets two important changes: 1. Neuromuscular function, strengthening muscles that are necessary to perform a movement. Secondly, neural communication, which activates the neuronal system to initiate and control movements. Galileo training combines voluntary exercises with external mechanostimulation. The results are faster rehabilitation, easy and safe to apply, short intervention time. And we recommend using Galileo in front of functional training, as it will greatly enhance your workout or therapy results. Check out this video, which conceptually shows how Galileo affects the muscles, causing them to contract. As you can see, this is a simple animation that shows the concept of Galileo training.
These graphics show in a simple way how these automatic muscle spasms happen. The whipping activates the so-called spindles in the muscles and tendons. The spinal cord is informed about the change of body position by the nerves. The spinal cord activates and coordinates the muscles for balancing movements. The muscle contracts. This is repeated many times and results in the buildup of muscle.
As for contraindication, we always like to talk about them to make sure that people are informed before using a Galileo. First, we have pregnancy, which is really a precaution. Implants mean a total hip or a total knee only. You can have screws, bolts, or any kind of hardware like pacemakers, baclofen pumps and shunts without an issue. Open wounds in the training area: if you have a cut that is not healed, you should wait till the wound is healed. Recent fractures should wait 10 to 12 weeks, which is usually recommended by most doctors. Acute thrombosis, no exercise is recommended, including Galileo. Epilepsy secondary to fall prevention, Galileo will not induce a seizure. However, if someone has a natural seizure, we suggest having another person with them for safety. Bone tumors because of the reduced strength of the bone. Acute stroke, meaning patients at a very acute stage need to be evaluated and cleared for use. We do not recommend training for people dealing with kidney and gallstones conditions. Now let's look at the safety of Galileo. Now we should look at some of the indications for using Galileo therapy. The list could be much longer, but this is a fair representation of many different considerations. Here we go. Training of muscle power and mass. After immobilization and injuries. Prevention for osteoporosis. Balance training and fall prevention. Coordination training. Muscle atrophy. Back pain. Improved blood circulation. Pelvic muscle training. Stress incontinence therapy. Diseases of muscular origin. Muscle contraction. Improved microcirculation. Reduced tone and spasticity. Reduced contractures. Improved range of motion and flexibility. So as you can see, there are many indications for Galileo use. We all have neuromuscular systems we can improve. Now take a look at the safety aspects of Galileo. In this chart, going up the vertical axis, you will see the amount of force on one leg, as you stand on the ground with both legs. You have 50% of your weight on each leg. If you are walking, you put more than 100% on one leg. And, if you jump, you put up to 3 times your body weight. So you can see, Galileo at 10, 20 or even at 30 Hz the force is less than when you are walking. Because of this, the Galileo is a very safe training method and the chance of injuring a muscle, joint, ligament, tendon or bone is very low. Galileo platforms have been used in several hundreds of studies over 25 plus years and have reported no adverse consequences. Galileo's full product line of medical and fitness devices offers totally safe, universal training, starting with Kids during early intervention to senior. For people with medical conditions. In fitness. For high-performance athletes. Including space research. Training parameters. This lays out how you set up your training session. So let's take these one at a time. First thing you want to do is pick a goal. What are you working on? Before you start Galileo training, you want to make a decision on what do I want to achieve. Am I working on my hamstrings? Am I working on dorsiflexion? Working on my pelvic floor? What do I want to achieve in this training session? After this decision we move on to frequency. Now we come to training frequency. The decision of what is your goal will now help you choose which frequency, and the frequencies are really important because they are grounded in science and the speed of the nervous system. If we train from 5 to 12 Hz, it's a voluntary compensation for mobilization and relaxation. And the brain is in control firing the muscles. Therefore, it is brain central from 5 to 12 Hz, which is great for balance, proprioception, muscle relaxation and muscle cool down. However, when you cross over 12 Hz and up to 20 Hz, you are training muscle function with your reflexes. And the spinal cord has taken over from the brain. It is a reflex now, so Galileo is going to exercise you without you. Because the muscles are going to activate it reflexively or involuntary. The more you focus with intention connecting your brain with your body, the more you will benefit from your session. Your muscles are contracting and relaxing anywhere from 12 to 20 Hz. And this range is great for stretching, intra and intermuscular coordination, and muscle function. Now we come to another division point, 20 Hz. Once you go faster than 20 Hz, the nervous system cannot react fast enough and your muscles are in a constant contraction. Building up more and more tone, and this is also where we improve power, we build muscle mass, we improve performance, and we also reduce spasticity, which for medical applications is extremely important. Now we move on to amplitude. So far we picked a goal, decided which frequency, and now we're going to look at amplitude. Always start with your feet at 0. The numbers you see on your platform are in millimeters, not centimeters, so if you stand with your feet on 2, that will be 2 millimeters up. 2 millimeters down. For a peak to peak of 4 millimeters. You will be surprised at how much intensity that adds to your exercise. Make sure you experiment with foot position. The next important piece is body posture. As you stand on the platform, always start with softened knees. Changing your body position will change where you feel the muscle stimulation. You can feel your whole muscle chain being activated, and it's quite surprising. As you slowly change into the position shown here, you will feel totally different muscle groups. On the right, change your center gravity by going back on your heels. Now go flat-footed, next go up on your toes. Notice the totally different feeling and muscle activation from body posture changes. Galileo's side alternating movement pattern goes up one leg, then goes through the pelvis and next into your back on the opposite side. With high repetition, training this happens very quickly from side to side, called a phase shift, and mimics how we walk. Galileo training is fast, simple and efficient by recruiting the sensory and motor systems, putting small and large antagonistic muscle groups through thousands of voluntary and involuntary reflexive muscle contractions. It's such a remarkable device that is redefining training. Galileo is truly whole body vibration. By standing on it, sitting on it, put your arms and shoulders on it, or lying on it. Pictures show that you can cover all muscle groups of the body, so that you get entire whole body workout. So let's talk some science. We all know the patellar reflex. The doctor uses the hammer on your knee and your leg kicks out because of your reflexes. With a hammer tap, we disturb the muscle spindles. The muscle spindles are stretched, sending a message along the afferent neuron to the spinal cord. The spinal cord receives this message, and to protect the muscle, the spinal cord sends a message back on the efferent neuron, telling the muscle to contract. This closed-loop system of muscle spindle, afferent neuron, spinal cord, efferent neuron, muscle contraction is the secret of how Galileo functions. This is the natural way our body works. In addition, neuronal signals are always sent to the brain. These high repetition signals optimize the brain's neuroplasticity. It takes hundreds of thousands of repetitions to learn or relearn a movement pattern. Galileo helps to accelerate neuroplasticity. This slide illustrates a quick explanation of the stretch reflex. As you can see, we have an electrostimulator at the tibialis, and at the triceps suri we have an EMG for reading the signals. If you use the stimulator with a low intensity, the signal will run to the spinal cord. And then from the spinal cord down to the muscle. This produces a reaction time of 40 to 50 milliseconds, after you have activated the stimulator. This engages both the afferent and efferent system in stimulating the muscles. If you now activate the stimulator with high intensity, you are stimulating the muscle nerve directly. The result of the stimulation appears much earlier at approximately 10 milliseconds. This ratio of the H wave to the M wave is called the spinal excitability. This study shows the effect of Galileo on neuronal fatigue. The top left blue curve shows the signal through the spinal system. Next, when the Galileo starts, the H reflex values are reduced by 50%, which means the neurosystem is fatiguing. The bottom row shows that it takes the nervous system 5 to 10 minutes before recovering. We would like to introduce you to Max, who is a C6 spinal cord injury. He was injured in December and sent home from the hospital in March. You can see the spasticity in his legs. Obviously, he can't stand himself, without being held up. Max cannot stand himself. However, when the Galileo is operating he can stand because of the stretch reflex. Even when the gentleman on the far side is no longer holding Max, he can stand. Now the timer is going to run out. Listen for the beep. Now Max has to be helped. However, as soon as his mom takes his feet and puts them back in contact with the Galileo, he can stand again. Max can stand on his stretch reflex and train his muscles, which is just remarkable. Here we are, 3 months later. The last video was in June. This is September and you can see, Max takes much less assistance to stand up. He's actually has some movement in his legs. He still has some spasticity in his ankles. But after 3 months of training, he is doing remarkably well, making progress. Now we turn the Galileo off. Wow! He can stand without the stimulation of the Galileo. Here we are in April. Max no longer needs his wheelchair. He can manipulate steps with crutches. Quite an impressive change. All his hard work, therapy and home-based Galileo training paid off. What an increase in his quality of life. While we never know, we must allow people the opportunity to try and improve their quality of life. Providing people with diseases and conditions more therapy and complemented with Galileo home-based training has been a game changer for many. We know from science high repetition activity-based training improves neuroplasticity. Galileo training is an efficient, simple and safe tool that is helping change people's quality of life. Remember all the Galileo basics: set your goal. Pick frequency based on your goal. Set your amplitude for intensity level. Choose the right exercise to target muscles and muscle chains. Always focus on precise form, body posture, and movement. And, remember intent, connecting your brain to your body, will improve your training outcomes. This video will show analytically what happens to muscle activity when Galileo is added to a normal exercise such as a squat. There are 2 wireless EMG units, the black squares on his thighs, which will measure and display muscle activity results on the computer.
Right now, you can see activation in the upper panel, very low activation in the lower panel. But we're going to use the Galileo to activate a tonic reflex, which will activate the rectus femoris. So see it here. Immediate activation there, and more activation in his other leg. And so what we're doing here is basically using better science to engineer elite athletes at ASPI.
Now we show you Tony, who is 52 years old in this video. He is one of the top 10 international bodybuilders. Tony has 2% body fat, allowing us to see every muscle, vein, tendon. He has our Galileo dumbbells, one in each hand. What you are going to see is the action of muscle chains. We put this video in slow motion. Look at the muscle activity going all the way up the arm into the shoulder. You can even see activity in his neck. It is interesting to see all these muscles being engaged. This is the activation of muscle chains as we disturb muscle spindles. We hope you enjoyed our short presentation on Galileo training. Please let us know if you have any questions on this presentation. There is no other device like Galileo. It was the first and is the best. Visit website at www.stimdesigns.com or call our office at 831-222-0513. Thank you for watching.